David Goggins' story is not just about success. It's about survival, transformation, and the relentless pursuit of greatness. His book Can't Hurt Me is a raw, unfiltered account of a man who refused to be broken by poverty, by racism, by abuse, by failure, and even by his own mind. Imagine a boy growing up in a violent household, beaten down by fear and insecurity. Imagine a teenager drowning in self-doubt, overweight, depressed, and trapped in a cycle of excuses. That was David Goggins. By every measure, he was destined to fail. But instead of surrendering, he chose to fight. This book begins with pain. Pain that most people would run from. Pain that most people would use as an excuse. But Goggins turned pain into fuel. He looked into the mirror, what he calls the accountability mirror, and faced the brutal truth about who he was. No sugarcoating, no lies, just raw honesty. And from that moment, he began to rebuild himself. The transformation was extreme. In just 3 months, Goggins lost over 100 pounds to qualify for Navy SEAL training. He pushed his body and mind beyond limits that most people can't even imagine. He endured Hell Week not once, but 3 times. He ran ultramarathons, completed triathlons, and set world records in pull UPS. But more than the physical feats, it was his mental toughness that defined him. Goggins teaches us the 40% rule. When you think you're done, when your mind screams that you can't go any further, you're only at 40% of your true capacity. The remaining 60% is locked behind pain, fear, and doubt. And if you can break through, you'll discover a version of yourself you never knew existed. This is not a book about comfort. It's a book about suffering. It's about embracing pain because pain is the pathway to growth. It's about silencing the excuses, destroying the limits, and proving to yourself that you are capable of far more than you believe. David Goggins doesn't ask us to admire him. He challenges us to confront ourselves. He challenges us to stop hiding behind weakness, to stop waiting for motivation, and to start building discipline. He challenges us to live with a mindset so strong that nothing, not fear, not failure, not pain, can hurt us. In this cinematic summary, we'll walk through Goggins' journey. From childhood trauma to the accountability mirror. From Navy SEAL training to the lessons of Hell Week. From ultra-endurance races to the discovery of the 40% rule. Each chapter is a battle. Each lesson is a weapon. And together they form a philosophy that can transform your life. This is not just a summary. It's a call to arms. Because Goggins' message is simple. You can't hurt me. And if you adopt his mindset, nothing can hurt you either. David Goggins' childhood was a battlefield. He grew up in Buffalo, New York, in a home filled with violence and fear. His father was abusive, controlling, and relentless. Nights were filled with beatings, chaos, and trauma that left scars far deeper than the physical ones. Poverty and racism added layers of pain, making young David feel invisible, unwanted, and broken. School, he struggled. He was insecure, overweight, and constantly bullied. He carried the weight of fear everywhere he went. By the time he was a teenager, he had already given up on himself. He believed he was destined to fail. But then came a turning point, a mirror. Not just any mirror, but what Goggins calls the accountability mirror. Every night, he would stand in front of it and confront the brutal truth. He would write down his failures, his weaknesses, and the lies he told himself. And then he would write down what needed to change. The accountability mirror was not about motivation. It was about honesty. It was about stripping away excuses and facing reality. Goggins realized that no one was coming to save him. No one was going to hand him success. If he wanted to change, he had to own his life completely. This mirror became his weapon. He wrote notes like, "You are fat. You are lazy. You are lying to yourself." Harsh words but necessary. Because only by facing the truth could he begin to rebuild. And rebuild he did. At one point, Goggins weighed nearly 300 pounds. He was stuck in a dead-end job, spraying for cockroaches, living paycheck to paycheck, and drowning in self-pity. But when he saw a documentary about Navy SEALs, something inside him snapped. He wanted to be one of them. He wanted to prove that he was more than his pain. The problem? He was overweight, out of shape, and had only 3 months to qualify for SEAL training. Most people would have laughed at the idea. But Goggins didn't care. He went back to the accountability mirror, wrote down his goal, and committed to the impossible. In those 3 months, he lost over 100 pounds. He ran miles every day, even when his legs screamed in pain. He lifted weights, studied, and pushed himself harder than ever before. He cut out junk food, embraced discipline, and lived with a single focus: becoming a Navy SEAL. The transformation was brutal. He woke up before dawn, trained until his body collapsed, and then trained some more. He ignored the voice in his head that told him to quit. He silenced the excuses. He embraced suffering. By the end of those 3 months, he had done what most people would call impossible. He qualified for SEAL training. He had turned his life around not because of luck, but because of discipline, honesty, and relentless effort. The lesson of part 1 is clear. Change begins with truth. You cannot build a new life on lies. You cannot escape weakness by pretending it doesn't exist. You must face yourself in the mirror, admit your flaws, and commit to change. David Goggins teaches us that the accountability mirror is not just a tool. It's a philosophy. It's a way of living that forces you to confront reality and take ownership of your destiny. And once you do, transformation becomes possible. David Goggins' journey into the Navy SEALs was not just physical. It was psychological warfare. SEAL training is considered one of the toughest military programs in the world. It breaks men down, strips away comfort, and exposes weakness. Most don't make it. But Goggins wasn't there to survive. He was there to dominate. Hell Week is the ultimate test. 6 days of relentless punishment. Running, swimming, carrying boats, freezing in the surf, and enduring sleep deprivation so severe that trainees hallucinate. Most quit. Their bodies collapse, their minds surrender. But Goggins refused. He endured Hell Week not once, but 3 times after injuries forced him to restart. Each time he pushed through pain that would cripple most men. What kept him going? A mindset forged in suffering. Goggins discovered that the human body is capable of far more than we believe. He realized that when most people quit, they are only at 40% of their true capacity. The remaining 60% is locked behind pain, fear, and doubt. He called this the 40% rule. The 40% rule became his philosophy. It means that when your mind screams, "I can't," you must push further. When your body begs for rest, you must keep moving. When fear tells you to stop, you must fight harder. Because beyond that wall of pain lies greatness. During Hell Week, Goggins used the 40% rule to silence his inner voice. He told himself, "You're not done. You're just at 40%. And then he kept going. He carried boats until his shoulders bled. He ran until his feet were raw. He swam in freezing water until his body shook uncontrollably. And yet he refused to quit. This mindset carried him beyond SEAL training. Goggins became an ultra-endurance athlete, running races that lasted over 100 miles, often with broken bones or internal bleeding. He set a world record for pull UPS, completing over 4,000 in 24 hours. Each feat was a demonstration of the 40% rule. But the lesson is not about physical strength. It's about mental toughness. Goggins teaches us that the mind is the most powerful weapon we have. Comfort is the enemy. Pain is the pathway. Discipline is the key. He challenges us to build a calloused mind. Just as hands become calloused through hard labor, the mind becomes calloused through suffering. Every time you push beyond your limits, you add another layer of toughness. And eventually nothing can break you. The 40% rule is not just for athletes or soldiers. It's for everyone. It's for the student who thinks they can't study another hour. It's for the entrepreneur who feels like quitting after failure. It's for the parent who struggles to balance work and family. It's for anyone who believes they've reached their limit. Goggins' message is simple. You are capable of far more than you think. Your limits are illusions. Your excuses are lies. And if you embrace suffering, you will discover a version of yourself that is unstoppable. Part 2 of Can't Hurt Me is a reminder that greatness is not found in comfort. It is forged in pain, tested in adversity, and revealed when you refuse to quit. The 40% rule is not just a lesson. It is a way of life.